Everybody in the magazine media industry knows Kantar SRDS. And the real upside, one of the real upsides in programmatic is demand discovery. SRDS is the largest publisher of printed media directories and a leading provider of online media data and market intelligence, especially in the space of programmatic advertising. So Stephen Davis, President SRDS Kantar Media, is going to share some insights on some new research they've done on the B2B, consumer and digital planners and buyers, on how buy-side decision makers are going to work with publishers now. So Stephen, welcome.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciating. Sure. Thanks, Eric. And we're certainly excited about the marketplace and how it is moving to programmatic. And we think there's no doubt in these early days of Programmania that marketers and agencies have a desire for purchasing more inventory through these programmatic channels. I think we're also pretty much aligned with some of the earlier discussions we heard today in that there is a challenge for publishers right now because your brand is becoming a little bit invisible in all of this. So we're trying to address that with a number of things, and I'm glad to have a few minutes to share with you what we're trying to do at SRDS to make this complicated landscape just a little bit more simpler and easier to understand. I think it's important to spend a minute or two also thinking about how we define programmatic, and again, very much aligned with what we heard earlier today. But while Programmania is a great headline, I think really what programmatic is the marriage of two very compelling trend lines. It's data-driven decisioning that's going on all across the media landscape, combined with the automation of the workflow tools that are now enabled at many agencies and marketer houses. If you see a little bit more specifically about where programmatic media is headed, this is eMarketer slides. I don't think we shared this yet this morning, but what was last year a $5 billion programmatic marketplace, you see how it was broken out. There was 81% of that was open RTB. It was very much impression-based trading in the open marketplace. What we started to see last year was about 11% of that was spent through the private marketplaces that many of you in this room have established. CPM's hopefully starting to move up a little bit. And what we saw emerge last year, and it's beginning to emerge more, are these automated guaranteed deals. That's the space that we are most attracted by, because the only way for those transactions to occur really is still through the direct sales force. It really still requires, as we heard just a minute or two ago, some context around it to make sure that those packages have the appropriate amount of understanding and can really only be told through direct sales channels. But you see where that market goes. In 2016, it'll be very much a balanced play between open exchange advertising and that automated guaranteed world. So sometimes you hear the story, you hear the headline of $20 billion in programmatic, and if I was a salesperson in this industry, I might get a little concerned. I think again, as we're hearing more about it, maybe a little less reason for that concern. So why are we playing in this? As Eric mentioned, we've been around for over almost 95 years now, serving the advertising agency marketplace in bringing to them all of the appropriate opportunities that they may be able to buy advertising from. So whether it's a newspaper or a website or a tablet opportunity or even understanding digital ad tech, we do that. In total, we have about 150,000 media properties in our database. We connect our end users to over 800,000 direct salespeople within our industry. And with our service, we provide open rates, we provide audience, we link to so many other important partners like the AAM and MRI in the magazine media space, and across all media, whether it's in TV or out of home, we connect to other properties as well. At the end of the day, though, we are accessed by 15,000 brand marketer, media planners, and buyers, and I think that's what really is maybe your take home, why it matters. And Eric mentioned we did some recent research on this audience, and we have, and I'd like to share with you just a real quick snapshot of what they've told us. In the past, we always, with tongue in cheek, we always kind of tried to describe the typical end user of SRDS as 24 to the 4. And many of you who sell advertising could probably understand that persona pretty well. It's the 24-year-old media buyer or planner who works at an agency and they've got a lot of buying power. We would say they have $24 million to spend in advertising, and that oftentimes the marketer is giving them very short notice to put a plan together, so they have 24 hours to make a plan, and then the fire drill begins. And then because they're millennials, they're also a little bit distracted these days, so they're checking their status sometimes on the social networks a little bit more. Again, it's tongue in cheek. The reality is they're doing their best to try to find the right opportunities for their marketers and do what they can to make their clients satisfied with the recommendations they've done. The recent research we had kind of put this in more context. The 24 million was actually pretty close. It's actually $26 million in brand advertising that they're responsible for purchasing. But what's really different these days, it now cuts across 4 different clients on average and 6 different brands. So there's only 18% of our audience who represent one client. I mean, that's a fundamental shift from where we were a few years ago. What's really hasn't changed when you have this time compression is they don't have a lot of time to learn and understand your brand. They don't have a lot of time for the breakfast, the lunch, the relationship building, the mani-pedis. It's just not as convenient for them to really learn more about your offering. And what they're saying more and more is they're relying on the RFP. 42% are saying they want an RFP back from you within 5 days. They want proposals in those RFPs pretty fleshed out, combining all of your integrated assets that are appropriate. They want discounts on the magazine, print side. The benchmark is about 29% off of rate card, so you could use that in your own benchmarking if you need it. And more of these days, they're not likely to give you a second chance to come back in and kind of reassess what you originally submitted. In a world where that buyer is as stressed as it seems they are, you can see why the self-serve vision of programmatic is rather attractive. And it's not surprising, again, as we asked our users how familiar and involved they are in programmatic, and straight down the line, very consistent to where the industry is going. But 55% are purchasing in the open RTB market, 43% in the PMP market, and a third have experienced in buying in the automated guaranteed deals. And this year, they're expecting that 15% of their overall digital campaign overall digital budget will be spent through programmatic channels. So, it's those kind of, I'd say, stakes that are driving our product strategy as we move forward. Clearly that we expect the programmatic demand will increase. We think the automated guarantee deals, as you see that orange bar in the e-marketer slide, rev up. We think it will explode, and we think, and again, pretty aligned to what we heard earlier today, that direct sales teams are going to adjust to having that now in their portfolio, and will integrate it into their overall offer. So what's our approach in SRDS? Think back to the travel industry, 1990s, early 2000s. They were hit with Programmania back then. And if you think about your experiences, or my experience even, when we were booking through some of these services, lack of transparency. You had deals, but you usually purchased rosary beads before you boarded some of the airlines that you were buying, because it was remnant inventory. It wasn't the premium experience that you could purchase back then. But if you think about how that marketplace evolved, while consumers were able to save money, often they were not saving time. And then services like Kayak came into the marketplace and allowed, by aggregating all the available inventory, allowed a lot more transparency and ease of use. So we're kind of doing the same thing at SRDS. We've had relationships with a number of ad tech, SSP, and automated guaranteed partners. And what we're doing is standardizing all of the deals that are available and making it available to be discovered by our planners and buyers. Right now, and this changes every day because it's a daily update, there are over 1,100 publishers who have surfaced now 8,500 different automated guaranteed and private marketplace deals. So it allows for discovery. And just a quick walkthrough as to how that might look. A user would come to a brand page, so that it's a branded experience where they're seeing, in this case, parade.com. They're looking at what programmatic opportunities might be available. They're seeing that they're working both with Pubmatic and iSocket, and they have specific packages that can be purchased, and it's all standardized the way you would expect it in a standard rate and data service like our own. When they take the inventory and put it into a shopping cart that they would like, they can then move on into the marketplaces with our partners. And then we're also trying to surface it through other means. So we're looking for interesting guaranteed direct inventory that we will pass to our network of marketers and agencies that we'll do it through email newsletters. So we're curating this, we're distributing it, we're surfacing it on your behalf. Takeaway for all of you guys, if you haven't yet embraced the automated guaranteed packages, we suspect that you should. I think most of you in here have. If you haven't surfaced your programmatic packages through SRDS, get a hold of your ad tech partner. Make sure that your data is being put into our system. And as always, if you're looking for a way to get on more media plans, make sure you look for me or some of my team. And you can go to this URL and find out a little bit more. Thanks so much.